Story number 1. The lady in white. It was supposed to be a dream vacation for Melissa and her friends. 7 days cruising the Caribbean on a luxury ship. The first few nights were filled with fun, laughter, and endless adventures. However, on the 4th night, Melissa began hearing strange sounds coming from the hallway outside her cabin. A soft, almost inaudible whisper that seemed to say, "Come find me." At first, she dismissed it as her imagination, but the whispers grew louder each night. One evening, after a few too many drinks, she decided to investigate. She followed the sound, which led her to the lower decks, where she stumbled upon a deserted area that seemed to be under renovation. She felt a chill run down her spine as she noticed an old-fashioned door, unlike the modern ones on the rest of the ship. Curiosity got the best of her, and she pushed it open. Inside, the room was dark, except for a faint light flickering in the corner. There, she saw a woman dressed in a white, flowing gown, her hair tangled and dripping wet, as if she had just emerged from the sea. The woman turned slowly, revealing hollow, dark eyes that seemed to pierce right through Melissa's soul. Terrified, she backed away, but the woman in white began to move closer, whispering, "Come find me." Melissa sprinted back to her cabin, heart pounding. The next day, she told her friends, but they laughed it off as a drunken hallucination. However, a quick search online revealed that, years ago, a young bride had drowned after falling overboard during her honeymoon on this very ship. Some say her spirit still wanders the lower decks, searching for her lost groom. Melissa spent the rest of the cruise avoiding that part of the ship, but every night, the whispers returned. Only now, they were at her door. Story 2. The disappearing act Jonas was enjoying his honeymoon with his new wife, Clara, on a sleek, modern cruise ship bound for Alaska. On the 3rd night, they decided to explore the ship's lesser-known areas. After a few wrong turns, they found themselves on a dimly lit deck with peeling paint and an eerie silence, far from the bustling lounges and restaurants they had grown accustomed to. Just as they decided to turn back, they saw a man in a sailor's uniform standing at the end of the hallway. He waved them over, saying in a deep, gravelly voice, "This way." Jonas hesitated, but Clara, ever the adventurer, took the lead. As they followed the man, they noticed he seemed to glide rather than walk, his steps making no sound on the wooden planks. The sailor led them to a narrow stairway, descending into the belly of the ship. As they walked down, they suddenly found themselves in a room filled with what appeared to be old, dusty nautical equipment and faded photos on the walls, pictures of the ship in its early days. When Jonas turned to ask the sailor what they were doing there, the man was gone. Clara began to panic as they tried to retrace their steps. After what felt like hours of searching, they finally found their way back to the main deck, only to discover that the area they had been in was off limits and had been sealed off for years. That night, Jonas couldn't sleep. He couldn't shake the feeling that the sailor had been trying to tell them something, maybe a warning, or perhaps a desperate call for help from beyond the grave. Story 3. The Drowned Voices. The final night of the cruise was meant to be a grand celebration. The ship was abuzz with excitement for the masquerade ball, where everyone dressed in elaborate costumes, masks, and gowns. Sophia, a young journalist, was thrilled to document the event for her travel blog. But as the evening progressed, she began to feel uneasy. She couldn't pinpoint why, but something about the air seemed different, heavier, colder. As midnight approached, she decided to take a break and walked out onto the deck to get some fresh air. The sea was calm, and the moon was bright, casting a silver sheen over the water. Suddenly, she heard it, a chorus of soft and melodic voices rising from the ocean below, singing an eerie lullaby that sent shivers down her spine. Sophia leaned over the railing, trying to see where the sound was coming from. The song grew louder, almost hypnotic, pulling her closer to the edge. Just as she was about to lean too far, she felt a strong hand grab her arm and pull her back. It was one of the ship's officers, his face pale. "You shouldn't be out here," he said, his voice trembling. "It's not safe." Sophia asked him what he meant, but he refused to answer. After much persuasion, he finally relented and told her about the ship's dark history. A lifeboat drill gone wrong decades ago, where dozens of passengers fell overboard and drowned. Some say their voices can still be heard, calling out to the living to join them in the depths. Shaken, Sophia decided not to mention the incident in her blog, but every now and then when she closes her eyes, she can still hear the faint melody of that ghostly lullaby, beckoning her back to the sea